Okay, good evening, friends. We are up to the third middah of the Kesser. Let us review. The first middah, mi kel kamaycha. That middah is referring to Hashem's incredible, unimaginable tolerance. Because when we sin, we're using the power and the life force that God gives us. And God doesn't say you want to sin, figure out a way to keep yourself alive. I'm not giving you life so you can use it to sin against me. No, Hashem is so tolerant. He's such a soivel. He's so forbearing that even though we can't sin without His beneficence, nevertheless, Hashem continues to give kindness to us and we use it against Him and Hashem tolerates it. That's mi kel kamaycha. It implies two things. Kel is Hashem's chesed. Even though Kel, He could take revenge big time, He doesn't. So Kel is the power of Hashem's chesed. Despite His ability to take revenge, He tolerates. The second middah is noisei avain, which is even greater than the earlier middah, because when you sin, you create a destructive angel, and the angel needs to eat. So who feeds the angel before we do tshuva? God not only tolerates our sin, He actually feeds the angel. He feeds this destructive force that we created, and He bears it. This is called Hashem. This is called Hashem is noisei the avain. What Cain said, Gadol avoini minasai. God, you carry the whole world. You're mefarnes the whole world. You can't be mefarnes this malach that I created. And from there we learn the tolerance a person should have. So much so that even if the damage that somebody may have done to us is still stands, you not only tolerate his wrongdoing, but you tolerate the repercussions of his wrongdoing until the person does tshuva.
Second middah is just an extension of the first one.
He says a lashon, it's gadol, because not only does Hashem have to tolerate the insult, now He has to. Now you created a monster, so it's not Hashem's problem to feed the monster. So is it greater? It's maybe a little bit more than an extension. It's very connected, right? It's the next level of Hashem's forbearance and savlanos.
It sounds like the first middah is Pesha, my son. The second middah is the aftermath of my son.
Right? That's a good point. The first middah is at the time of the sin. Hashem tolerates the fact that you use the gift of life against Him, and then the after effects and the aftermath and the ramification of the sin, Hashem continues to, so to speak, slide with it until the person does tshuva. That's a good way of saying it. Okay, middah 3, Hashlishus, oiver al Pesha. Hashem passes over sin. Zu middah gedola. This is a great middah. Shaharei ein ha-mechila al yidei shliach. The mechila is not through a shliach. Ela al yadoi mamish shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's through Hashem mamish. Kedachsiv ki yemecha haslicha. With you is forgiveness. Here he brings on the bottom a siddur. The name of the siddur is Tefillah L'Moshe. By the way, Tefillah L'Moshe is a siddur of the Ramak. I have one at home. I have an old copy at home. The siddur of the Ramak, Ramesh Kodever. He says all transactions, all things in this world are nishba. It's ois chaf bav chaf beis if you have in this edition. All pu'ulais are nishba through a malach, because they are the middleman in the what's called olam hayitzira between our world is called olam ha'asiya, and the kisei hakavod is in olam habriya. The middle world is called yitzira, and whatever takes place in yitzira is through angels. And all these activities occur through the malachim. However, slicha doesn't take place through malachim. So here, we're in the olam ha'asiya. The angels are in the olam ha-yitzira. Above that is Bria, which is Kisei HaKavod, and above that is Atzilus, which is the, so to speak, the essence of God. And the Malachim usually take care of all the stuff in Yetzirah, but Slicha is above that. Why? Only God forgives. The angels have they're not involved in the forgiving part. And this is what it means. Ki imecha haslicha, with you is forgiveness. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgives. Like Hashem says, watch out now, I'm sending an angel, and he's not going to tolerate your sin. Why? Because angels don't tolerate sin. Only God has the ability to forgive. So, what exactly is this forgiveness? This forgiveness is, God already tolerated our sin. That was the first midah. But the thing is, when we sin, we dirty our souls. We also darken and dirty all the all the upper worlds. So now it's a big cleanup job. Imagine a guy comes in, he empties out the chamber pot. Chamber pot, you know what a chamber pot is? It's a nice way of saying, yeah. Okay? And he smears it all over the white carpet. Not pretty. So it smells and it's grimy, and now what? You can't even hire a carpet cleaner, won't even come into the room. So now Hashem basically, so when we sin, we're basically taking a chamber pot of filth and sin, and we're smearing our souls, we're smearing all the worlds, and there's no cleanup crew that's going to come in and clean up. The angel said, we don't do this. This has been, we're above this. It's beneath our pay grade. So Hashem has to come with power wash. Even power wash doesn't get it off, because basically, you can't even use a sponge. You got to use your hands. So think about it. Who's cleaning up our mess when we sin? God, so to speak, has to get down and dirty. So, and no malach is going to do it. So Hashem comes, shehu roichetz ha'avain. He cleans the sin. Kedachsiv imrachatz Hashem eis sayas benois Tzion. If God will wash the excrement of the daughters of Tzion, etc. V'chein ksiv v'zarakti aleichem mayim tahirim. I will sprinkle upon you the purifying waters, etc. So this is the mida v'hainu oiver al pesha. God passes over sin. What does this mean? Shoileach meimei rechitza. He sends the waters of washing. V'oiver v'roichetz ha'pesha. He cleanses and washes the sin.
Which type of sin is this talking about?
Now, what exactly is slicha and mechila? What are these things? Now, the Rav Aaron David Goldberg quotes the Nefesh HaChaim. He says that when a person does an avera, it's not the pshat, okay, a person did an avera, now Hashem's going to come and punish you. The sin itself is the punishment. The sin itself comes to haunt you and to punish the person. And you have no choice but to, so to speak, accept your punishment from the forces of Tumah that you yourself created. So Hashem can't just forgive. It's not a matter of forgiven. Hashem can say, I forgive, but now you're going to have to deal with the monster you created. So how do you rectify it? You basically, there's an idea that when a person does an avera, since man's soul encompasses, man is a small world, an olam katana, right? There's an idea man is a small universe, which means in our soul we encompass all the upper worlds, which means then when we sin and we sully our soul, we're really sullying all the worlds. So we basically filthed up and dirtied all the worlds. The only way to do a cleanup job, there's one world that is unaffected by sin, where there's only one world that sin could have no effect on it. From that world, which is unaffected by sin, Hashem sends a certain kedusha, an emanating light, that from there it cleanses all the various worlds that have been sullied. So this is the special rechitza, so to speak. This is the cleanup job that Hashem has to do. Basically, there's only one world that is unaffected by sin. In that world, Hashem stores the Windex and the Mr. Clean and the, all the cleaning supplies. And when we do tshuva, Hashem sends the cleaning agents from that world.
The middle world where the malachim is still affected by it?
That's what it seems like.
Maybe that's why they're not as quick to forget, or they don't forgive it.
Why? Because we messed up their world.
Yeah. Whereas.
Maybe. Now, Rav Goldberg brings, there's an idea, the Medrash says that only Jewish people could do tshuva, Goyim are not able to do tshuva. Even though there are many questions on that. We have Nineveh, they did tshuva. Yeah, right. We have we get into that a lot, right? So Rav Goldberg wants to say, only for Jews, Hashem is willing to, you see, we could all get the sin off, but the cleaning process of all the worlds, that would only a Jew could effectuate a cleaning process for all the worlds. I don't really understand what he's saying, because when Goyim sin, they don't have any effect on any worlds in the first place. They're not even plugged into the system. So I don't really understand this idea that he's saying. But anyway, the idea of slicha. He brings, what's the difference between slicha and mechila? Slicha mechila means basically, okay, you did avera, I forgive you, but you're going to have to clean up a little bit. Your soul is still a little bit dirtied. You might have to have a little yisurim to wash it away. It's like this. A person goes to a kiddush, and at the kiddush back in the day, I don't know, in a real shtibel, they bring out these like football plastic things of cholent with like 3 pieces of kishka on top. You know what I'm talking about? So that, you dig in, and all of a sudden, the kishka now becomes embedded on your shirt. So it's a beautiful white shirt, and then there's like a kishka stuck to your shirt. So what do? You remove the piece of kishka. So you've gotten off 99% of it. The thing is, there's still a nice big woozy of a stain on the shirt. In other words, you've gotten off the whole piece of kishka. It's not like you could go and like eat off your shirt. There's no mamashes on your shirt, but your shirt is nice and filthy. So mechila is basically removing the kishka. Mechila is Hashem, He forgives the sin, but you're still dirty. And in order to clean it, you need detergent. Slicha is the detergent to get it white again. So, when we sin, it's not enough that Hashem is moichel, but He needs to do slicha. He needs slicha, and nobody does slicha but God. Now, to do slicha, it's not. You can't. Don't think to do slicha. Okay, it's a clean job. You throw it in the washing machine. You pour the detergent in that nice little canister. You push it in. No. It's not this. If you do that and you pull out your white shirt, there's still going to be that round ring of kishka. The only way to get it out is, you gotta take your hand and like smear the detergent into the shirt, and maybe take your nail and start scraping it. Otherwise, that stain's not coming off. The same thing with us. The only way to cleanse the neshama is Hashem Himself has to come and clean up our mess. So, logically Hashem should say, look, you did the Avera, you figure out how to get the kishka stain off your neshama. It's not my problem, it's your problem. I forgive you, I hold nothing against you. But but Hashem, my soul is dirty. Okay, did I ruin your soul? You ruined your soul. So you scrape it off. I don't know. So he said, I don't know how to do it. Okay, Hashem could say, it's your problem, not my problem. No, we made the mess, and Hashem cleans it up.
Why?
So those kind of guys, they get into they insult you, they say something bad about you, and they don't have the social adeptness to fix it over. Like the day before Yom Kippur, they come over. If I've ever done anything wrong, then like Lu Yitzur, I ever did something wrong. We mean if you did something wrong, you messed me over. We mean if. By the way, the worst way to apologize, the one day you can get married, Never say, if I did something wrong. You know why? Because if I did something wrong means, I don't think I did something wrong. I could tell that you think I did something wrong. So if, meaning I'm not masking, I didn't do anything wrong. That's basically a way of saying, no, but what's your problem? I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, it's like passive aggressive. It's better not to it's better not to apologize than to say, if I did something wrong. No, you said, I did something wrong. Because they're only going to forgive you if you acknowledge that you messed up. Stam, it's a good...
Why do we, on Yom Kippur, why do we say slach lanu, machal lanu? Shouldn't it be the opposite? First it should be machal lanu, then slach lanu.
Why do we do it in that order? There are many different perushim in slicha mechila. Which one is greater? What I just told you...
After, what's that third one? Slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu.
Yeah, kaper might be that if there's any punishment that I should have got, you like cover it over, like you squelch it. There are different perushim in the three levels, slicha, mechila. So what I just told you is from the Eitz Yosef that Rav Goldberg brings. Slicha is legamri, mechila is you still need yisurim. That's what the Aristavash also says. The Malbim speaks about this at length. That slicha is Hashem removes the avera min ha-metzias legamri ki'ilu lo hay b'metzias klal. Okay, so now let's see the application. Says the Talmud Devorah, hine mamish kidmozeh tzarich liyos ha'adam. In this form, a person should be. Meaning we should emulate this kind of practice. A person shouldn't say, should I fix what so-and-so sinned or corrupted? Basically, if he wants me to be appeased and to make up with him, he needs to take the initiative. No, lo yoymar kach, you shouldn't say this. But rather, just the opposite. Adam a person sins, Hashem himself, shaloi al yedei shliach, not through an agent, misakein es muvasai, fixes the error, and cleanses the excrement of the sin. Meaning, if let's say somebody wrongs you, should you ever help him make it up to you? In other words, should you go out of your way to like assist him in making it up to you? Let's say the guy's embarrassed to, so to speak, to call you. Let's say somebody insults you, but he would like to make it up. He's really thinking, no, I really need to make it up. I should really take my friend out for pizza, but he doesn't have the courage to do it. So would you ever in a million years call him and say, maybe we should go out for pizza? It's not your job to make it up to him. It's his job to make it up to you. But if you would emulate the ways of Hashem, you following the ways of Hashem, we would go out of our way to assist the offender in making it up to us. That's a pretty almost, supernatural type of mida. But here's another point the Talmud Devorah says, Umikan yisbayesh ha'adam lashav lachtai. This should cause a person embarrassment to revert back to sin. Why? Realizing shaharei hamelech ba'atzmai roichetz lichlach begadav. Realizing that the king himself is going to be cleansing the stain on your garment. Rav Goldberg asks a very interesting question. This is the first time the Talmud Devorah says that we should be embarrassed to sin. He doesn't say, you should be embarrassed to sin. Don't you know? When you say something that you shouldn't say, God at that moment is giving you the capacity to speak and you're using it against him. So why doesn't the Talmud Devorah say, be embarrassed to sin? Don't you realize you're using Hashem's gift against him? Or he doesn't say be embarrassed to sin, because don't you realize you create this monster and now you're bothering Hashem to feed it? It seems like those things, although they're improper and maybe ungrateful, it's so to speak a lack of, it shows you're an ingrate if you're bothering Hashem or using Hashem's gift against him or forcing Hashem to feed your monster. Maybe that's not as embarrassing though. Here the point is, when you sin, and the parable or the mashal, the analogy would be, you're smearing mud all over the place. You now are causing the Almighty to come down and get down on his hands and knees, so to speak, and he's scrubbing your sin. That should hit a certain chord within your reasonability. That how could you do that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That you should be embarrassed to do such a thing. The other things, how could you in good conscience do that against Hashem? It's not, the point is not embarrassment. It's like, you're an ingrate if you're using the gift of Hashem against him, or you're an ingrate if you're forcing Hashem to feed your monster. But now you're causing Hashem basically to get his hands dirty because of your mess. You're making the mess and you're forcing him to clean it. You should be embarrassed to do such a thing. Halavai, we should be on the madrega that we feel embarrassed. And halavai, we should be on the madrega that we have such a compelling and real belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and in the terrible effect of a sin, that we feel in a real way that we're causing Hashem to clean our mess. Unfortunately, even though we know it's true, like Rabbi Salanter says, we don't feel the things that we know. So when we do an Avera, we don't really feel, unfortunately, that we're causing Hashem to clean our mess. But if we think about this, tonight, here's your avodah, okay? The avodah is, you go to sleep at night, you should identify maybe something that is a challenge for us, that maybe sometimes we do wrong, and think we shouldn't be embarrassed to do that, because basically we're going to be causing Hashem to clean our mess. I mean, let's say you went to your great-grandmother's house. Would you take the contents of her chamber pot and pour it on the couch, knowing that she's going to clean it up? I don't think so. None of us would do that. We wouldn't even take her chicken soup and pour it on the floor if you knew she would have to get down on her hands and knees and clean it up. So how could we do an Avera realizing that no one else is going to clean it up but HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself? That should, use like a vivid imagery of what we certainly would not do, and how could we do that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good night. Have a good Shabbos. Shkoyach.